All right, letting this load up to see if we are live here. Looking over at this YouTube stream. See if we can get this thing going. Okay, just got the notification on my YouTube that I'm live. So what's up, everybody? Nicholas Moreano here. Happy Saturday. Good morning to everybody. And with just everything going on around this Chicago Bears team, rumors, speculation, news, we just had to get on here and do this live. I haven't done this in a little bit, so I'm excited to kind of get back on here, talk to you guys. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see some of the chat over here, so make sure you're commenting and let me know if you can actually hear me, see me, sounds good, all that good stuff. I'm just going to send this tweet out real quick to let everybody know that I am live and that you can join in. We can talk about everything that's been going on. And I'm going to be gone later this afternoon, so we have to do this in the morning and just talk through some things. But let's see, the tweet is out. We are good to go. Quick rundown. Obviously, with the news with Adam Schefter dropping this morning, I just got back from walking the dog and playing catch, and then boom, Bears are, inquiring about trading for Mike Tomlin, but ultimately get rejected by the Steelers. So that's going to be at the top. Talk a little bit about Ben Johnson and just the updates there and what's going on with that front and who's saying what and what are my thoughts on the whole thing right now. Todd Monken, Joe Brady interviewed for the Bears job on Friday. Just give some thoughts about that and just some things that I've heard about Todd Monken. And then you have some news with Ian Cunningham, who is going out and trying to get that GM job that he's been wanting, but the Titans go in a different direction, meaning that Ian Cunningham is most likely going to be back with the Bears and being back in this coaching search. So, lot to talk about, but let's start with Mike Tomlin and the interest there, and the Bears just not. It's more than doing your due diligence. Like, that is one of the top dogs at the head coaching position. But if you didn't somehow see this, Adam Schefter came out at early this morning saying that the Bears recently called the Steelers to see if they would be allowed to talk to and potentially trade for Mike Tomlin. And the Pittsburgh Steelers rebuffed the inquiry, league sources told ESPN. And according to Schefter, the discussions actually never made it to Tomlin. He does have a no trade clause in his contract, and actually there was one other team that asked about Tomlin's availability, and when that team asked, Tomlin responded, "Save your time." So it looks like despite the this is now the 5th time in a row that the Steelers have been one and done in the playoffs. Steelers want Tomlin. Tomlin isn't going anywhere, but the Bears, they look to see if you could potentially go get a guy like that. And, he is one of the more higher paid coaches in the league. And I think that is telling for me that the Bears, when it comes to money, which has always been a big speculation, whether or not if the Bears would be fully committed or in on a candidate like a Ben Johnson, could they actually land somebody like that due to money or whatever it could be. So at least you're showing that with inquiring about a Mike Tomlin, who is one of the highest paid coaches in the league, maybe money is not that much of an issue or roadblock this time around with this head coaching search. I think that's a good thing. If you're looking to pay or a Ben Johnson or whoever it may be, if they're looking for that high compensation, it looks like the Bears are going to meet them at least that criteria. I think there's been also people who have been a little bit back and forth on Tomlin. You look at maybe the lack of success since Ben Roethlisberger's been there, and yeah, I can see that. It's a little bit valid, but just really quickly, we always talk about the quarterback position being the focal point of a team. If you don't really have a quarterback, you're not going to go very far, not only in the regular season, but definitely in the postseason. But since that final season, 2021, for the Steelers, when they had Ben Roethlisberger, these are the guys that Tomlin's had to work with. And maybe that is a direct reflection on Tomlin not getting better talent there, but it takes two to tango. 2021 was Roethlisberger's last season. You had Mason Rudolph. 2022, Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky. 2023, you have Pickett, Rudolph, Trubisky. And then 2024, you have Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. It's not a great group of quarterbacks. And if you're looking to cultivate a team that's going to sustain success when you get to the postseason, like you just need those type of guys. And yes, you can have a good team around them and that can obviously help you, but you still, like, when you're looking at the teams that are really in the running to win a Super Bowl this season, just in the AFC, obviously you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson who are going to be going at it this weekend. Guys like that, like those are the teams that I realistically look at. Like, yeah, they're going to be competing for the playoffs. And then the NFC, Jared Goff and the Lions, and just teams that have not only a good team but a quarterback that's playing phenomenal so far. So I do think it is a positive that the Bears, yes, they inquired, ultimately rejected, but it just shows that the Bears are not only casting a wide net, they're going for the big fish at the top too. And what will that okay, so they're doing that now. Does that mean they're going to end up getting a guy like Ben Johnson or whoever they see fit? Mike McCarthy's been linked to the Bears for a little bit now. So you just got to let it play out. So I do think it was positive seeing that. And I don't know why the chat. So I have this YouTube studio off to my left. Last time I did live, all the everything in the chat popped up, but it's not doing that. That's why you got the phone here. So seeing that you guys are in here, appreciate it. Yeah, man, I'm damn near 100 people. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for coming out and hanging out on your Saturday morning. Just again, I had to get some thoughts out on all these things that were coming up. Let's go really quickly next to the next thing that's been circulating on Bears Twitter and just social media. It's just Ben Johnson specifically, but also there's been a lot of people saying, like, it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to Las Vegas. Like, if you're the Bears, don't even, like, that pipe dream is gone. Adam Schefter, put a little bit of a stop to that on the Pat McAfee show on Friday. He used the word, there's a lot of people anointing Johnson to be the head coach of Las Vegas. And he wanted to push back about this. He said, why is everybody ignoring Chicago when it comes to Ben Johnson? Why has it just been dispelled? I don't get it. What am I missing here? Hey, if that's coming from Adam Schefter, I don't think anything's a foregone conclusion at this point in time, especially because at this point, like, you haven't even had an in-person interview with Ben Johnson, whatever team it is, because interviews with assistants who are under contract with other teams can begin on January 20th. The last time I checked, and it's January 18th. So if the Lions were to lose to the Washington Commanders, which I don't think will happen, you can start that interview process on January 20th. But if coaches must wait until January 27th, when either they're eliminated from the playoffs or have a bye week before the Super Bowl. And that could be the realistic case for a guy like Ben Johnson, when you can, interview him next, because of where I just think the Detroit Lions will end up winning against the Washington Commanders today. So, like, there's a waiting game to this. And I think, like, I don't think anything's been decided yet, whether you're the Raiders, whether you're the Bears, whether you're Ben Johnson. So, yeah, maybe the Las Vegas is all in, Chicago's all in. It all ultimately matters where Ben Johnson's all in at. So I think that you got to wait for those in-person interviews, and the Bears will actually have, I believe, the last two today with Flores and Stenovich from Green Bay, and I think that should cap off what has been the longest first round of interviews in interview history. But once you do that, then you'll start to get your finalists, and I would assume that Ben Johnson will be one of those. And I don't know how much the Bears are going to actually end up having, but yeah, I would assume he'd be there. Really quickly too, with Ben Johnson, there was news about him switching agencies, and the exact quote or tweet was, Lions offensive coordinator and hot commodity head coach candidate Ben Johnson is signed with agent Rick Smith for Priority Sports, the agency confirmed. And for people that don't know, Priority Sports does have a location in Chicago, in Los Angeles, and Atlanta. And that news came out yesterday, or well, the tweet, and I'm sorry, I should have put who exactly tweeted that out, which bad by me. I just had the actual like information. But that came out yesterday. I did some digging, and from what I gathered, yeah, that was something that, and finding my exact tweet, it happened at some point in 2024. So definitely wasn't just yesterday that Ben Johnson made this switch with his agency, and then you're connecting the dots. Oh, they have a location in Chicago. Is it a coincidence that Johnson, who's looking at the Bears job, has the agency in Chicago? You're just trying to connect dots, but it didn't just happen yesterday. So let's kind of, put some clarity to that so that we're not, assuming things are happening in line for Ben Johnson just to be the Bears' 18th head coach in team history, when maybe that still could be the case, but it isn't just because that news came out yesterday. So that was Ryan Glass-Steagall, who does a good job covering FOS media. He put that out there, and just wanted to, provide some clarity on that. But for anybody who doesn't know, like, Ben Johnson is still the number one target for me. I'm sure for a lot of Bears fans. And, I'm just kind of curious, like, looking in the chat here. Yeah, I guess, you know what? I do want to talk about some of these other candidates because I feel like a lot more people are opening up to a guy like Todd Monken. But before we get into those interviews that happened on Friday, I got to get better at this, addressing this at the top of the show. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Nicholas Moreano. I am also doing some written content on Substack too. So if you just look up Nicholas Moreano, you can find me there. And then obviously on Twitter, Nicholas Moreano. Really quickly, I think it would be a good time for you to like and subscribe now because, I think the Senior Bowl is next week. I'm trying to find exactly what days I will be down there in Mobile, if it can work out for me to get down there. I'm credentialed, so it'd be cool to get down there and just not only see some of the top prospects. They have a lot of good players in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, that I think can help the Chicago Bears, but also, there's a lot of just information gathering you can do in Mobile when you get all 32 teams represented down there, agents, just a lot of stuff that can be collected. So I'll probably be putting out some information, written content, obviously video content, just what I'm seeing from the players on the practices, things like that. So be a good time to subscribe to not only the YouTube channel here, but the Substack as well, and get all that exclusive content that you can't really get anywhere else if people from, the Bears beat are not down there, but I'm sure there will be, as they always are. All right, really quickly, let's get into, Todd Monken. I think more and more people are opening up to the idea of a guy like that being the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I'm glad you guys are there because I think there's I think he has an opportunity to be a good head coach. I really do. It's not just because of what he's done with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens this season, taking him to new career highs in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and the second lowest interception total of his career outside of his rookie season, which is 4 interceptions. Like, that is all great. But Lamar Jackson was already great before Todd Monken got involved. Now he's playing at an even better level. So maybe that speaks volumes to what kind of coach Todd Monken is. But when you even go back to the success he had at Georgia and working with, walk-on quarterback and Stetson Bennett, like, that's a completely different playing style than a guy like Lamar Jackson. So I just look at it as like, if Todd Monken can get, the best out of, college student athletes, professionals who play the game at the highest level, like a Lamar Jackson, what can he do with a talented player like a Caleb Williams? And of course, you have to add more to the offensive line to get him to have success. But I think there are just a lot of opportunity for Monken, what he can do. He does have some head coaching experience at the collegiate level at Southern Miss, was also with the Buccaneers as an OC and wide receivers coach. Things didn't go great when he was the OC with the Browns in 2019. Baker Mayfield was his quarterback, and he's been on record saying, Todd Monken, that, it wasn't really Baker. Like, we could have done more to help him out. So I think that, there are definitely things that he's learned from, but just being in so many different offenses and finding what works, he's had a track record. So I'd be curious to see what he would do with a team like the Bears and how he can get the most out of this offense, knowing that you're going to continue adding talent and just make this the best version of the 2025 Bears that he can, and that offense can grow and evolve as he continues to add talent and gets more acquainted with the players that he's going to be around. But I spoke to somebody who is pretty plugged in about this whole head coaching search, and I specifically asked about Monken, and this is what my source says is Monken is well liked, can't rule him out. Also put in Flores as well, so that is you know. I think that it's still going to be. I still think it's Ben Johnson and Mike McCarthy's been definitely linked to the Bears as a possibility, having that in-person interview. I think I've been seeing like no McCarthy, no by Michael Williams. I get it. Like he's probably the most polarizing prospect candidate in this coaching cycle. And I don't think it has really anything to do. I don't think it has anything to do with he coached in Green Bay. It's just you never saw that Packers team, Aaron Rodgers, have much success in the playoffs, right? Like you win the one Super Bowl, and you were dominant in the NFC North, but for whatever reason, like that playoff success really didn't continue. Yes, you made it to the NFC North championships, things like that, division round, and you've lost a couple times the wild card round. You're getting to the playoffs, but you're not making these runs when you have at two-time MVP Aaron Rodgers at the time when he was with McCarthy. He ended up being a two-time MVP with LaFleur as well. So I think that scares some Bears fans. Also, what happened in Dallas. You look at one playoff appearance in 5 years there, or one playoff win, I should say, in 5 years there. Even the 2023 beatdown they had in the first round of the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers. He does have some time management issues. And, if you go to my Substack, I actually cited some examples that happened in 2023, his time with the Packers. So there are some red flags, but I don't think you can deny also, like, he did have success. He did win a bunch of games. He did dominate the NFC North. So there are some positives, there are some drawbacks, but I get it. If people are completely out on McCarthy, I don't think I can convince you otherwise that I think, could do some good things with the Bears, but I just don't. Again, where is that ceiling? I don't think it's as high as it would be if you took a chance like on a Ben Johnson, to be completely honest. And that's how I ended that article. I just don't. I'd rather take that risk with the candidate that I think can get a lot out of this Bears offense, take Caleb Williams to levels that we think he can reach in his NFL career. So I just rather take the risk with a guy like Ben Johnson as opposed to, I don't like the word settling, or I know the word safe is being thrown out with McCarthy because I think he does have a track record of success in the league, but like I said, that ceiling just doesn't seem as high. The Bears also not too late. They also announced that they completed their interview with Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator. And to me, I think if someone were to ask me like who is the dark horse candidate, or I think I would put Joe Brady there, because I think when you look at what he's done in the league, yes, they're obviously, especially this 2024 season, the Buffalo Bills regular season, second in points scored, 10th in yards, 13-4 record, number 2 seed in the AFC, and took over as that interim offensive coordinator after he replaced Ken Dorsey in 2023, and then the Bills won 6 of their last 7 games. So you like all that. What he did in LSU in 2019, having Joe Burrow, winning the Heisman. He was a passing game coordinator, wide receivers coach there, Panthers offensive coordinator in 2020 through 2021, and then joined the Bills as a quarterbacks coach in 2022. So he's been in the league, no doubt. I just think, yes, he's the young, hot offensive coordinator now, but like I'm asking you, Chad, like if you had an opportunity, like I guess if you're the Bears looking at a guy like Joe Brady versus Todd Monken, who do you think they would go with, considering you have to factor all the things I just said about both the candidates? To me, I think the Bears would side with a guy with Todd Monken because of that experience. going back to the collegiate level, but also just what he's done in the NFL or been in the NFL longer and done some things that maybe Joe Brady just hasn't had time to experience because he is a younger candidate. So I just think the Bears would look at a guy like Todd Monken before Joe Brady right now, but I think like still he would be my dark horse to maybe get this job. Ultimately, I think it will come down to Johnson, Modkin, McCarthy, guys like that. But I think he does do some really good things. I was really impressed too, just watching that first playoff game against the Denver Broncos. One of the notes I took away was just when the Buffalo Bills pass catchers had to extend the play because Josh Allen was maneuvering in the pocket and just giving the offense a chance at that specific play. I just loved how, guys were on the same page. Like Josh Allen would do a little signal, like go left or do a little head fake and then just throw the ball and, complete that amazing touchdown catch to Tyler Johnson in the back of the end zone. That's not an on schedule timing. Like that got extended. Allen had to wait for the play to develop. And then he had to signal to his guy, like, here, go this way, and then score the touchdown. And then even on the 2-point conversion to Keon Coleman. Like, that was also where Keon Coleman's running an initial route. Josh Allen tells him to go the other way. Boom. You capitalize on that as well. There's been so many times where Caleb would get outside of the pocket and try to look for somebody to be open, but guys are just not where they need to be, where their landmarks are. And maybe Caleb Williams is just running the football or having to throw it away or maybe even taking a sack. So I just think I like that little detail, and that shows me that, things don't get overlooked with Joe Brady. And I appreciate that. The Bears can't have a coach that's going to let things get overlooked as they continue to build the offense, build this team. So like Joe Brady, love Todd Monken and what he can do. And, both are worthy candidates. But, yeah, I think that, ultimately it will be just one of those three guys I mentioned earlier. But we'll see. We'll see how this whole coaching search goes because there's been, a lot obviously with it. I mean, it's been extended and continues going and going. And I'm just glad I think next week we'll finally be in the second round of things. And that's where you're seeing some of these names, like even like Adam, Stenovich from Green Bay, the offensive coordinator. Like some of those guys, Arthur Smith, like you saw the interviews happening, but I don't think anyone's putting real consideration that they were going to actually be the next head coach. But the second round will be pretty telling. And I think Brian Flores also has an opportunity to be in that second round. And he's scheduled the interview today at some point. So, yeah, I think even how the playoff loss against the Rams happened, a guy that would, I think, immediately establish a culture. You're going to immediately get the defense playing at a higher level. I think the time that he has had with his, with just being around, Kevin O'Connell and those quarterbacks, I think that's going to help him out as well. He's also with Mike Tomlin for, a brief stint. So you're getting a Flores that removed from his time as a head coach in Miami, how things ultimately played out, getting that experience with Mike Tomlin, getting that experience with Kevin O'Connell. I think you would see a way better version of him in 2025 as a head coach than you saw when he was obviously with Miami and how things played out with Tua and just all the things that you read and hear from his time there. So I think you would get a better version of him. And I know, and I'm probably have to update this, my updated list of head coaches outside of Ben Johnson right now, because I did have Cliff Kingsbury up there as one of my top candidates. And he's recently said they wouldn't interview until, the season's over. Realistically, that could be over today or tonight after the Lions, I think, win that game. So I think that's a guy that did a lot with Jaden Daniels, has also learned from his time in Arizona when he was a head coach, being at USC, and then learning under Dan Quinn. I think you take those things, you take obviously the positives from each of those stops and you apply it to when you want to be a next head coach. And I think he would do some great things with Caleb Williams. And, I think just having that time on task with him at USC, seeing him up close and personal, how he operates, yeah, that can bode well for a potential repairing as a head coach in the NFL, but we'll wait and see on that. Really quickly too, with Ian Cunningham, as I mentioned at the top, he was, interviewing and has been interviewing for the last couple of years to potentially be a GM, but the Tennessee Titans go in a different direction. Don't know why I'm blanking on the first name, but Berganzi for the Chiefs now gets that job. And, I think Mike Berganzi, there you go. Don't know why I couldn't think of Mike, but he gets a job as a GM in Tennessee. So that means that Ian Cunningham is again not able to land that job as a GM. The Bears will not get the third round draft picks that come associated with that if a minority hiring happens. So the Bears will have to wait on that. And Ryan Poles' a track record of third round picks. Maybe needs more time to learn how to actually use those in the right way to get players that are going to contribute. But I think this does help the interview process then for the second round of coaches, when knowing that Ian Cunningham will be back with Ryan Poles. He stated that at his end of the year press conference a couple Tuesdays ago that Ian would rejoin the team, after the GM, interview process was over. So that seems to be the case with a guy like Ian Cunningham. So I think it does help. It does help keep the Bears that structure that they had in place, but you do not get the draft compensation that you would have gotten. And I thought this would be the year too. Just there's been so much traction with him last couple of years, and then it could be, I don't know, if the Bears had a better season, would that have done it potentially? Like that easily could have done it. You can't go wrong when you get a guy from the Chiefs organization, seeing the success that they've had. But that's the Tennessee Titans. That's the route they took. So that ultimately is what happened. But yeah, guys, there was a lot in there, a lot to talk about. If you want, for the last couple minutes here, like I said, I do have the chat up here, and I could see exactly what you guys are saying. If you have any questions, you can throw them in right now. I see. Who is that? Brennan. Hey Nick, hope you get the trip job. I see. So that was a funny thing too. I had recently just had an interview. I won't say exactly where, but I got back, was relaxing at the apartment, and my younger brother has been wanting me to go see the third Sonic movie. Love playing Sonic growing up, so I had to first watch the second one. Watching it, and then out of nowhere, I don't know, because I had the lights all off, I got comfortable. I took like a 20-minute power nap, woke up, and my phone was just buzzing with everybody like adding me about the Tribune having an opening covering the Bears, and very intriguing, no doubt. So yeah, but appreciate the support. I hope to be back in fully working and covering the Bears at some point soon. But yeah, just gonna keep this going, and this has been awesome too, just getting to hang out and interact with everybody. And like there's there's so much going on with the Bears that you can't really take a step back and not do anything. You'll just lose sight of everything that's going on. So just got to keep busy, and the Bears definitely keep me busy. Actually, these next couple of days, I really got to catch up on some of these Senior Bowl prospects. Like the head coaching search just takes up so much time, and just doing background research, trying to talk to people about them, and then all these prospects, a draft, free agency, it just never stops. So you can't take a break here, and I don't plan on to. So you know what? I think just with okay, do you think here we go. Do you think Ben Johnson will be able to adjust his offense to Caleb's skills? I think if Ben Johnson being the offensive coordinator that he is, I believe he would be able to do that. And you know what? You also got a question too, like how the Detroit Lions are built is way different than what the Bears are built, especially just looking up front. So I think if you're Ben Johnson, seeing why has this offense been successful in Detroit, a lot of credit has to be given to the offensive lineman that they have in place to give Jared Goff time to find those weapons downfield. I think the Bears have weapons downfield. You can always add more, things like that. But yeah, to answer your question, I do think Ben Johnson could see a guy like Caleb Williams, see his skill set, have him play more on time. I think that will be something that gets addressed really early on, having him play on time, the rhythm of the offense. But to do that, you got to have guys up front that will block. So I think it would just be, finding those pieces, especially starting. I start in the middle at the center position and get that right. You have Darnell Wright on your right tackle spot. Braxton Jones coming off the surgery. I think, like, I don't know. I don't want to put a, like, will he be the starting tackle in 2025? I just don't know what they're going to do in the draft free agency. But he will be on the team. Obviously, he's got to most likely replace Tevin Jenkins, who I think will be gone. And then, the revolving door at right guard, Matt Pryor, Nate Davis at a point in time. So I think it does start with addressing the offensive line, but I think Ben Johnson would be able to look at Caleb's skill set and get the most out of him. Let's see. We have a question here. I wish it popped up on the screen there. It would be so much easier. But if a candidate is ready to sign tomorrow, do you wait until the Johnson decision and risk losing out on both candidates? That's the thing that the Bears have to weigh. Like, how long can you wait for Ben Johnson? How long can you realistically wait for a guy like that? And once the second round happens, it's next week where teams are finally being eliminated, more candidates are being open to those in-person interviews. That also creates a possibility of more guys just being off the table. If a candidate is ready, I guess it depends which one. I wonder if the Bears, because you can be all in on Ben Johnson, right? You can be all in on Ben Johnson, but you still got to have backup plans because, like I've said, Ben Johnson needs to want to go there. It needs to be a mutual agreement. And if it's not, then you need to have those fallback plans. Sounds like you're, it just doesn't sound like the greatest thing that you want to be associated with hiring a head coach, but you need to have a plan B. So that's the question. That's the question right there. How long are the Bears willing to wait to get that next head coach? And I think a guy like Ben Johnson, if he truly is interested, you are wowed in the in-person interview. You gotta let that ride a little bit. And maybe at that second interview, I don't know, is there like a handshake agreement? Like, you can't come to anything, but like things are kind of guaranteed and you just know that he'll be that next head coach, then you can obviously go that route, but no guarantee. Things switch. His mind can switch and he just needs to do what's best for him. And that's what, Ben Johnson, I think, will do. He's waited out this process long enough that, last year he could have been really looking to be a head coach, didn't. So I think this time around, he's just going to take his time, feel it out with every, interview process, how he feels about him, and then make his decision. So I think that's how it'll play out. Marcos, what is your picks for these 4 games this weekend? Okay, let's go. Let's do this. I have them popped up right here. The NFC divisional round, Texans, Chiefs. You have that 3:30 kickoff time. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. I know everybody doubts the Chiefs win the regular season, and then they just go on and win, almost going undefeated. And it's like, damn, okay. Yes, they're not the maybe Kansas City Chiefs of last year, but yes, they got a little bit lucky in some of these games, but I'm still going to take them. Like, you can't deny what Patrick Mahomes does in the playoffs. He's Patrick Mahomes for a reason. So I'll go with the Chiefs there. As I've alluded to, I'm taking the Detroit Lions against the Washington Commanders. I think it's going to be a tough game, though. No doubt. Jaden Daniels, I think he can create some complications, how those ends like to play. Like, you just have to have a certain way of playing. And just go back to how even Justin Fields had success against the Detroit Lions, especially utilizing his legs. A lot of the things that Jaden Daniels can capitalize on, Justin Fields already has, playing, that type of defense. Obviously different players, injuries this time around for the Detroit Lions, but still, I think Detroit gets it done. They have further aspirations than just make it to the divisional round. We go Rams-Eagles is such an interesting game because the Rams are hot right now, man. And seeing how they were able to, one, mitigate the impact that Brian Flores had in terms of blitzing and just the different defensive concepts that they were able to throw at the Rams. Like, McVay had to figure it out. He had to figure it out in the first matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. And, Jalen Hurts did not provide me with a lot of confidence that offense in the first round just leads me to believe, man, it's going to be this much better. And, coming off the concussion for Jalen Hurts, I don't know. But when you have Saquon Barkley and that offensive line, how much do you need to really rely on your quarterback play? But as I said earlier, it all matters about the quarterback. I'm doing the upset here. Let's take the Los Angeles Rams to take down the Philadelphia Eagles. That will go over well, I'm sure. And then this is the game to watch. The final game, 5:30, Ravens, Bills, the two MVP candidates. I don't think it gets better than this. Man, it's I was really impressed with how the Bills played against the Denver Broncos. I was extremely impressed with how the Baltimore Ravens just beat down the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one, you could toss it up with a coin here, but I've been saying it just with friends, like, I think Lamar Jackson's on a mission, man. I really do. And what they were able to do to the Steelers without Zay Flowers, that rushing attack. I think Baltimore. I think the Buffalo is going to have a tough time with the Baltimore Ravens rushing attack. Just how they play, they are looking to smash you in the mouth. Like Todd Monken, he called up that 13-play touchdown drive. Every single one of those plays was a run. Like, in Pittsburgh is no pushover when it comes to that, but Lamar Jackson off the edge, even up the middle at times. Derrick Henry running people over. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. So you got Chiefs, Lions, Rams, Ravens. Oh, sorry. I'm mixing up everything here. We're going Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Rams. There it is. That will obviously happen, and you can just say you heard it here first. But everybody, appreciate you hanging out on your Saturday morning. I should really schedule these things, let people know when I'm gonna go live, but things just happen, and when news just kind of drops, it's just like, all right, let's just do this. So again, appreciate everybody for tuning in on your Saturday morning. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Enjoy the football this weekend. No blowouts. Let's get no blowouts, close games everywhere, and make it that much more entertaining for everybody watching at home. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the podcast. It would help me out grow this channel. And like I said, either if you're not subscribing now, it would be a great time, especially with the Senior Bowl coming up and all the things that I can get down there. So you're going to be, want to know exactly when I'm putting out content, and hopefully I'm letting you know ahead of time as well. So that would actually help you guys be on here. But yeah, like, subscribe here, Substack, and obviously my Twitter at Nicholas Moreano. Appreciate all of you, and we'll be back sometime next week, because there's going to be a lot going on with the Bears and head coaching search and everything else that involves that team. So enjoy your Saturday. I'll see you next time.